All right, Trendsetter Wrestlers Laboratory is this Sunday afternoon as they present their first show, the first full show. It's Lab Normal, and we will be a part of that. We will be on Podcast Row for that. We'll be representing the East Coast, New York City and New Jersey, the whole tri-state area. And joining us right now is one of the founders of Wrestlers Lab, and that is Chris Ruiz. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris from the Lab. Chris, man, a big night for you guys. How excited are you for this Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for the intro. And, we're super, super excited. Nervous as all hell, but it's going to be a great show. As far as, talent goes, we have no nerves there because it's just absolutely loaded with some of the most talented wrestlers in the country right now.
What made you want to get wrestlers from all over the place? Because let's be honest, as a promoter, we know a bunch of promoters, and it's tough when you have to fly them across different states and everything like that. But what was the idea for you guys to do something like this, where you're representing every single part of the United States?
Well, I mean, that having people from all over the place has kind of actually been our MO for since day one. So even before this event, I think we clocked our number at about 15 different states that we've had represented in the lab on various pre-shows and joint shows that we've done. And this show just happened to put it, I think it put us over 20 different states total. So that's pretty awesome.
Where do you go about selecting the talent? I mean, I'm sure you have a whole list of people you want to try to get. Where do you go in terms of with your partner kind of deciding, all right, who's the definite people that you want to get on?
Yeah, that's a really, really tough process for us because we do have a lot of guys that have reached out, or a lot of people that we've reached out to, or that we're, kind of doing our research on. There's just so much good talent out there if you make the effort to look for them. So our thing is, we have sort of like a revolving door. I mean, at this point, we have developed a couple of guys that are sort of regulars. We have obviously our champion, Mr. Grimm, and then we have guys like Thicky Moon, who's pretty local, a guy named Tyler Matrix, who's all the way from out in Kentucky, who actually is somewhat of a regular. He's been with us 3 other times aside from this Sunday. So yeah, we do have a couple of regulars, but what we try to do is just have this revolving door of like new people coming in. And, but now, especially with a full show and then hopefully continuing to do full shows like we're doing on Sunday, it is going to kind of make it tougher to always have new people coming in, because we want to start having things kind of progress and for guys to be coming back on a regular basis. So we try to find a balance between those two things.
All right, Chris, my hat's off to you, because being a promoter and seeing what you guys have to do from, the concession stands to making sure the talent is there on time to making sure that every fan is there satisfied. And, it's very tough to be a promoter, and, you've decided to do this alongside with your partner, Mike Sweeney, and so kudos to you guys. But we see you a lot at Innovative Pro Wrestling and also Battle Club Pro. And there's a lot of wrestling in the Northeast, man. There's a lot of options. What is going to be what separates you from everybody else? What is Wrestlers Laboratory and this event coming up on Sunday? What's going to differentiate that from the rest?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, you mentioned Battle Club and Innovative, and we just we love those guys. Those are like our bros, and we're a tight knit family, man. Like we all look out for each other, and I feel like that's a pretty big deal, because when you have guys that are truly working together, no ulterior motives or anything like that. It's just like 3 groups of guys that are all trying to like make everybody better and lift everybody up. So that's a big thing. As far as what separates the lab even from them and from all the other competition in this area, I just would say I don't think that there's anybody else out there that has the amount of different talent that we have that you're not going to see anywhere else. I would say that about half of the card, or maybe more than half of the card, are guys that you do not see in New York and New Jersey on any sort of a regular basis. Like, I mean, there's a ton of guys on the card that have never even worked here in any other promotion aside from us. And then they start to kind of filter into or trickle into Battle Club, little by little into Innovative Pro. Like those guys, like I said, we're all a family, so we kind of like, we share with each other, we take ideas from each other, we kind of collaborate, we introduce talent to each other. So I think that's like a really awesome thing.
Can you elaborate more about that in terms of helping each other out? Because that's something that Jeff and I have noticed as we've covered the world of professional wrestling, where it seems like a lot of promotions, or whether we're talking about the indie scene here in particular, they all seem to want to help each other out. And maybe back in the days, who knows, maybe 10 years ago, that wasn't the case, where everybody's really trying to compete with one another and wouldn't share certain ideas or share talent. Do you feel like at this point right now it's probably the best time to be a promoter, because you can make friends with other promotions and they can help you out doing something for the first time like you're doing on Sunday?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some validity to that statement that this might be the best time for that sort of thing. I think that how popular it is to have things sort of streaming online has changed the game quite a bit. I think that knowing how accessible talent is now because of the internet, it makes it sort of silly to assume that you're going to have this sort of exclusive roster, or that, let's say you're a promotion that has a school. Why prevent your students from getting out there to as many places as possible? Just everybody should be working as much as possible so that this whole big machine can kind of like thrive and grow and evolve. And, there should not be any sort of greed in terms of talent, because there's just so much out there. And at the same time, because of how much out there is, why maintain the same roster and not change things up and not introduce new faces? There's just people out there that are just waiting, like chomping at the bit for opportunities. And that's what the lab has been all about from day one, is getting guys who you either did not ever see in New York ever, or guys that were severely sort of underused or underappreciated. You know what I mean? And I think that we're doing our best to kind of bring awareness to a lot of the faces out there that people just really have no idea about.
All right. Well, again, Wrestlers Lab Normal will be this Sunday. So let's get to the card here. Unlike, we're not going to run down every single one here, because we want to leave the fans there curious of what's going to happen here. So, but we'll get to the meat and potatoes here. And one that me and the Trent that are here are looking forward to seeing live in person is going to be the Nucleus 19 Battle Royal, because our boy Mark Adam Haggerty is going to be competing. He's making his in-ring debut. And listen, we love him. We think he's one of the top ring announcers and play-by-play guys that there is out there, especially here in the tri-state area. But my God, how did you convince him? Did he come to you and say, like, I want to get into the ring? Like, what is going on here, man? I'm just scared to what's going to happen to Mark.
Well, I'll tell you, man, it didn't take too much convincing, because he really seems to think that he's got this one in the bag. And I don't know, man. I don't know what's gotten into Mark. He's got this new sense of, maybe he wanted to venture into new territory, or dominate new territory. Because Mark is like, he's trying to dominate everything that he does. He wants to be good in every single field that he's a great ring announcer. He's a great commentator. He's been a manager in other promotions. So I think that when we propose this idea of, we want to do something truly different at Lab Normal, how about you get in the ring? And not only that, we'll up the ante, and how about you get into the ring with 18 other guys, or 17 guys, one girl. He was all over it, not even an ounce of hesitation from Mark. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know where that's coming from, but he seems to think that he's going to walk away with the Nucleus Championship on Sunday.
And you guys are encouraging him.
You guys are giving him a platform to get his ass kicked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I will admit, we're kind of fueling the fire a little bit. We're making sure to retweet all those little confrontations that he's having with people. So I mean, it's it's all in good fun. Like they say, it's all good fun until somebody gets hurt, and hopefully Mark will be able to avoid any serious injury on Sunday.
Come on, Chris, we need him to put the episodes on for us on the B Plus Player Radio Network, man. We need him. If something happens to him, I don't know who's going to do that. So hopefully the guys take it easy on him. Talk about any guys that are in the this 19 men and women battle royal here. Who should we look out for here in this match?
I mean, everybody that's in there is just, there's so many incredible talents in that ring. You got this guy, Darwin Finch. I don't know if you saw his promo that we dropped a day or two ago, but he's coming all the way from California, making his East Coast debut. He's from out there in the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, which is pretty notable out in California. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but you got Darwin Finch, who's the punk rock Poindexter, a lot of heart, a lot of passion, totally quirky and unique. You got the one female that I mentioned is Isana, the suplex sweetheart. So, and I think she's going to be gunning for Mark because he's been, not dropping such nice comments about her. Man, it's tough. We actually, we haven't announced this yet, but we did announce that he's participating on Sunday. But Vinny Pacifico is actually going to be in that match, which will be a return for the kid. He'll be looking to redeem his loss in the last time he was in the lab. Man, so many other people. It's just Mike Gamble, the American Sumo from up in New England. That's a big dude. That's going to be one to watch for sure. King Leon the Sixth, he's ultra confident, obviously, because he just thinks that he's the greatest thing to happen to professional wrestling since whatever other king you want to compare him to. So yeah, man. It's tough to, there's so many guys in there, but it's loaded with talent that could be anywhere on the card. You know what I mean? It's not just guys that are going to be battle royal type guys. Like there's talent that could literally like main event cards, and there's talent that all over the place. It's awesome.
You've got, for example, here too, a fatal four-way match here where we know, I know Colossal Mike Law and of course Ken Dixon. I know them from Capital Wrestling. Are you looking forward to this fatal four-way here?
Yeah, absolutely, man. The other thing, unfortunately, we're going to be posting an updated graphic, but unfortunately, Mike Law is not going to be able to make it to the show. I don't want to, not be honest about it. So Law, unfortunately, is out. We will have a suitable replacement as soon as possible. Ken Dixon his debut with the Lab was actually against Flip Gordon, which was a pretty incredible match for him. Really great effort. Unfortunately, a losing effort. So everybody in this match is looking for redemption from losses that they've suffered in the Lab. So nobody in that match has been able to secure a victory with us, So Dixon, you're familiar with. The other two gentlemen, Kevin Koo is from down south. He actually, his first match with us was a loss against Josh Briggs. Again, an incredible effort. He's got so much fire, so much passion, so much drive. It's super intense. So I think you guys will definitely enjoy him quite a bit. And Andrew Palace is, it's hard to describe the entrance of this gentleman, but when you see this guy booking it as fast as he possibly can and sprinting around the ring, I called him what was it? I gave him a name once, and it was I'm drawing a blank on it now, but he goes by the Spasmanian Devil. So if that doesn't kind of give you an idea of what he's all about, then I don't know what will,
Yeah, we were I was talking to Trendsetter, and he was telling me, hey, the Spasmanian Devil, anybody who's got a nickname like that, I definitely want to watch, right, Trendsetter?
Oh, definitely. Something that I'm curious about is Jeff's, continually talking about this card, and we're building up towards it. That something that, as a promoter, you always want to make sure you have enough talent on your roster. And this card right now in this show, there's no lack of talent whatsoever. That's a good thing from a promoter standpoint. But this being such a big event too, with all the things that can go wrong, we've spoken to certain promoters before. I'm sure yourself, it's not that different. You have to wear many hats as you're preparing for an event like this. What's the one thing? I'm not trying to jinx anything. But what's the one thing that you're fearful of as a promoter that you don't want anything to go wrong, obviously, but what's the one thing that you're more concerned about?
Oh man, so far, knock on wood, everything's been good. Like I said, a couple of guys unfortunately have had to drop out. We were able to find replacements because there's a lot of buzz and excitement about this show. So there's people waiting for opportunities. So we're not too worried about that in terms of not having guys that are ready to go, because there's going to be guys that are ready to go no matter what. Incredible lineup. It's just, we want everything to go smoothly. The most catastrophic thing to me would be anybody getting, seriously hurt. We want these guys to obviously come out on the other side safe and having had good showings. And just for like all these guys that the fans of this area who they may not know, we just want to open a lot of eyes and just introduce so much new talent. But that kind of gets off the point of what you asked. But obviously the bigger matches that we have, we don't want anything to happen in terms of these guys traveling or, last minute emergencies or whatever. We want these matches to be delivered because this is what fans are paying to see, so we want everyone to go home satisfied, very happy. And we're super confident that the talent on this lineup can do that.
And that's very key what you're saying there. You want them to be satisfied and happy. So, for example, say somebody listening to this right now has never been to an event like this, to Wrestler's Laboratory. It's the first time they're going there. Jeff talked about before in terms of your identity and comparing yourself a little bit to the other promotions. What's the identity you want Wrestler's Laboratory to have for the audience that's coming in for the first time?
100% just that you're always going to see something at the lab that you've never seen before. And it's not even in terms of some huge, some crazy spot or anything like that. It's not about that. I mean, there are going to be moments, there are going to be crazy matches, like the action is going to be insane. But the thing is, we just want to introduce people to something new every time so that they step away and say, like, holy crap, I really liked, X, Y, and Z. Like these, I mean, hopefully they say that about 10, 20, 30 guys, but if they come away with a guy that they really want to go home and they really want to do their more research, and that's going to make them go to another show because that person's on it, then we feel like we accomplished something. That's what it's been even throughout our time as a pre-show, where we only had 3 matches or 4 matches to really show what we were all about. Let's give these people something new, something that they've never seen before, matches that have never happened anywhere else. That's another thing too, is we've only ever had 1 match in our whole history that has ever happened in a different promotion. So that's pretty, now we have 2, our main event, I'm sure you guys are going to get to that, but Grim and Janela have faced each other before one time. So this will be only the 2nd match in lab history that's ever happened in a different ring.
We're going to get to that. I mean, trust me, we're going to get to that. But again, Wrestler's Laboratory, it is this Sunday, so it is a great time after you have your barbecue from the 4th of July, after all that's been said and done.
And that food settled itself in.
Why not have wrestling as your dessert and head on over to Ridgefield Park, New Jersey for a great afternoon of professional wrestling, too. That's what's also great, too. It's in the afternoon on a Sunday. It's a culmination of a great long weekend for everybody, so definitely head down to Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. You got to mix a lot of stars, some established stars, with some of the people that we still don't know about because they're coming from a lot of across the states. You got guys like David Starr. You've got guys like Sonny Kiss, who's now making a name for himself on Lucha Underground. You've also got Matt McIntosh, who's making a name for himself here, and he's actually going to wrestle in San Diego in the next coming months too. I mean, the Ugly Ducklings as well. We know what they're all about. They're very entertaining. Talk about the importance of having established stars on this card as well, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you definitely can't overlook the need to have people that when fans see a graphic or an announcement, they say, oh man, I really got that definitely ups the ante and makes me want to check out all these other guys that I don't know. So they work hand in hand, like you said. And so the other thing too is, as much as you want to have these names, obviously, that are going to fill the seats, you want to have guys that want to work with you and want to work with your vision. And all the people that you just mentioned are excited to be a part of it. Really excited to be part of our first solo show. They're guys who were aware of what we were doing before. Even guys who are established that maybe aren't on the card. We've had guys contact us, rooting for us to do well. So I think that speaks volumes in terms of our reach. And I think the reach happens because of how far out we've gone to get talent. So it's we put our name out there by helping out all these different territories. But yeah, I mean, having David Starr is incredible. The Ugly Ducklings are just like immeasurably entertaining. Joey Janela obviously is just, like probably one of the hottest, if not the hottest, star on the Indies right now. Sonny Kiss, I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am to see him on that platform. I've known Sonny for quite a while now, from my early days, starting, my roots of indie wrestling. And Sonny's probably one of the nicest people I've met in this business. And I don't think anybody deserves that as much as he does. So it's to have the group of guys that you just mentioned that have done so well for themselves be a part of this and launch the lab on this level is really, really awesome.
I mean, and also, you've got Shane Mercer there. We can't disregard him as well. The Iron Demon will be there. We saw him and Dan Moff. I know we saw him in Ridgefield Park. We saw them in action.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you got Dan Moff seal of approval and stood in the middle and they shook hands. And that was something amazing when Dan Moff gives his kind of seal of approval.
That was by far one of my favorite moments on that show. Mercer is truly absolutely no hype. There's no exaggeration. The guy is a beast. I mean, you can see by looking at him, but by far one of the strongest people in the game right now. And I just having him against Dickie Moon in the first ever rematch for the lab. Man, I mean, Dickie Moon has so much heart to want this match, to want this rematch, because Mercer is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and somebody who I think is the future of independent wrestling. Like, if that guy is not, signed on to some, major promotion within the next year or so, I will be totally bewildered.
I mean, you don't have to have like a wrestler's vision or a promoter's eye. Just on the it factor. If you're just a novice to this, you can tell that he has that it factor too. So definitely you have to go see Shane Mercer, and you definitely have to go to the show this Sunday. And of course the body bag match, it is bad boy Joey Janela. I also want to wish him a happy birthday as well too. And Mr. Grimm, Hitman for Hire, in a body bag match. Joey Janela, we know that he does a lot of crazy stuff, and now a body bag match with Mr. Grimm for the championship. How hyped are you for this main event, your main event here for Lab Normal?
Yeah, I mean, that it sort of, it makes so much sense. It sort of defines what we're all about, right? Because we got Mr. Grimm, who's literally been with us since day one. He is the first Nucleus champion. He basically had to vacate that championship when it was announced that we were going to be having a match to determine the first ever Wrestlers Laboratory champion with the introduction of our new belt. So he's the first of both championships, which is something an accomplishment that will never, ever be able to be taken away from him. So as a guy, day one guy for the lab, he's defending in a way, because, I mean, Grimm has always had this weird sort of animosity toward lab management. He feels like he was underappreciated or not used to the extent that he could have been, even though, I mean, he's held both of our championships. So even still with that animosity, now he feels like, in a way, it's almost like he's defending his turf against a guy who's coming in first time ever, and because of who he is, he's getting a championship opportunity. So Grimm is a man on a mission, and Joey Janela is a man that just abides by no rules whatsoever. So those two things are like, those are two incredible forces that are going to be working against each other. And when you wrap in the fact that one of those guys is going to have to be zipped up into a body bag in order to lose, I mean, that's something that is going to be truly, truly unique and a spectacle.
I mean, Joey Janela's on a huge roll. I mean, he's all in, for goodness sake. Me and the Trendsetter are like, it's going to be weird to see, we believe, for Mr. Grimm to be able to, zip him up in a body bag and carry him out. We just don't see that happening. But you know what? crazier things have happened, so we can't discount Mr. Grimm. Of course, he is your champion, the Wrestlers Lab champion. So we can't take him for granted. I don't think Joe Janela will be either. But this is definitely a matchup where you're wondering, man, is Joe Janela going to get the job done, or is Mr. Grimm going to not shock everyone at Wrestlers Lab, but the new fans that are going to go over there to see Joe Janela win? Will Mr. Grimm pull off the upset?
Right. I mean, one way or another, no matter what happens, I think it easily could go either way because of the sheer power that Mr. Grimm has, the explosiveness that he has. I think he can finish a match at any point, and nobody should be surprised about it. But Janela, on the other hand, is he defies death on a monthly basis, or maybe even a weekly basis at this point. He just has no quit in this guy. So it's like you said, to zip him up in a body bag, the image of that seems pretty crazy when you think about it, that he's going to be able to be kept down. I imagine just one finger, stopping the zipper, you know what I mean? But it's going to be really, really incredible. And no matter what happens, whether Grimm retains or Janela becomes a new champion, I think people are going to realize that Grimm is a player, a major player. And my thing is, I think that he should be in so many more companies, and it's coming. I know it is, but it just, it should have happened a while ago. And we've had that vision and we've seen that talent in him for a long time. And I can't wait until he shows so many people that that's what he's all about. Because I know that so many eyes are on this show, on this match in particular. And I think he's going to turn a lot of heads big time.
Well, turning a lot of heads and also a lot of excitement, a lot of built-up anticipation for this. We are excited. The Jersey Red Crew is excited for Sunday. I'm sure everybody else who's going to be in Ridgefield Park will be excited as well. Definitely an event you guys do not want to miss. But one final one for me, and this is kind of going back to our youth, guys. And what I want to ask you is basically, it's one thing being a promoter, but again, you wouldn't be a promoter or to be involved in this business unless you had some type of passion and love for it. So where did that first draw for you? For us, it's very distinct in terms of memories you've had. What was the memory in the moment that you can recall where you're like, I want to be, not only enjoy watching this, but I want to be a part of this for as long as possible?
Oh, man. I mean, I would say the first person that really caught my eye in that way and kind of hooked me on it was the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. I've been a Shawn Michaels fan for the majority of my life. So, and that guy, I mean, that's, he's like the epitome of the spectacle, right? But it also gives you an appreciation from a young age of somebody who could really, really go. So it's weird. It sets up the foundation of understanding the entertainment side, but also understanding that the wrestling is just absolutely incredible. Right, I came in on WrestleMania 13. That was my first WrestleMania as an active watcher. But then I went back and watched the others, and it's just, for me to come across WrestleMania 12, the Iron Man match was just a huge moment in my life. And I think that probably, for me to be, the age that I was and sit there watching a match that was an hour long and not get bored, because I'm sure there are kids who are wrestling fans that would watch that and not be entertained by it because it may not be, it's technical. It's really it's an art, it's something that's you have to have a more, a really, I don't know how to describe it, but the appreciation, the level of appreciation that you have to have for the athleticism is pretty intense. And I was just so hooked on it that I don't think that there was any turning back from that point.
All right, Chris, I'm going to do my best, Mean Gene, and promote this event like it was back in the control center for WWF at the time, right? And you tell me if I do a good job, and then if I leave anything out, you can finish it off here. As you ready, Trendsetter? You ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, Trendsetter, Wrestlers Laboratory Lab Normal is this Sunday afternoon in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. You don't want to miss the main event, the body bag match for the Wrestlers Lab Championship between Bad Boy Joey Janela and Mr. Grimm, as well as over 20 from 20 states of the best wrestlers that there are around here, and also the debut of Mark Adam Haggerty in the ring as he enters the 19-man and woman Nucleus Battle Royal. You don't want to miss that. Again, it is going to be an amazing night. Tickets are still available. Don't you dare miss Wrestlers Lab this Sunday. Lab Normal, their first full event. And again, the Trendsetter and the High Spot podcast will be there. Looking forward to it. Chris, did I do a okay job?
It was more than okay. It was more than okay. I know you got it in you to do even better. But man, you've killed it for this entire interview, and I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this whole build-up. We announced this show with 4 months of build, which might seem crazy, but I was told by a number of people that have followed our progress that it was the perfect amount of time for us to really let all of these incredible matches sort of like sink in for people and for them to really realize that something special was happening. And Lab Normal is not only just our first full event, but it's actually the first annual Lab Normal. We're always going to revisit Lab Normal. It's going to be basically like our WrestleMania. So every year
awesome.
there will be a new Lab Normal, and hopefully as time goes on, with more solo shows under our belt, the brand will continue to grow, the talent will continue to grow, and who knows, man? I mean, I think the sky's the limit, and I really hope that people like what we're doing, man.
Hey, Chris, best of luck. We will see you Sunday. Again, we will be on Podcast Row there representing the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, the tri-state area. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to talking to the talent. Looking forward to a great night. Looking forward to seeing Joe Janela and Mr. Grimm as well as all the other talented wrestlers, man. Again, what a way to cap off your 4th of July weekend and go over there and watch some great wrestling, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time.